here with my friends over at Amsterdam Ale House on 76 in Amsterdam. And to kick things off this afternoon, we thought that we would make a cocktail. So, it is brunch, and that means it's time for bubbles. So today, we're gonna make a French 75. So the ingredients I've got here are some gin, a little bit of champagne, or you can use Prosecco. And then I've got some sugar, and I'm gonna add a splash of water to that to make some simple syrup, or if you have pre-made simple syrup in the bottle, that works just as well. And then I've gone ahead and cut up a lemon into quarters. We're gonna use 2 lemon wedges inside the cocktail, and then I've made a little twist for a garnish. So the first thing we're gonna do is start with an ounce of gin. I mean, if it's an ounce and a half, I mean, who's counting? Who's counting? For 2 ounces, you know, it's really up to you. The next thing we're gonna do is squeeze in 2 lemon wedges. This is about a half an ounce of lemon juice. So that's 1, and that's 2. Now, you can use simple syrup made already from the store, but it's easy to make your own simple syrup if you've just got a little bit of sugar and water. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna give myself a little bit of water right here, and I've got about a hefty spoonful of sugar. I'm gonna put that in there and give it a little stir to help dissolve it. We're looking for about a half ounce of simple syrup as well. So as much lemon juice as you put in, that much sugar. Lovely. Now, here is the trick. I really love Saint Germain in my French 75s. So I'm gonna go ahead and put just a little splash. That's any kind of elderflower liqueur, or if you have something fancy like lavender infused simple syrup, that will also taste really delicious. So now we shake. This is a great time, if you haven't already, to visit the Playthings website and make a tax-deductible donation. All right, my dears, we'll strain this into our flute. I like mine about half and half. You can go more bubbles or less bubbles, that's up to you. Beautiful. And now we're just gonna top with a little bit of champagne. Hey. Garnish with a twist. I like to take my twist and spray it over the top to get a nice mist. Give it a good twist. Maybe a little circle around the rim there, and drop her in. Cheers, y'all. Enjoy. Oh yeah, she just ready.
Welcome everyone to the Playthings first virtual brunch symposium. My name is Jason Brubaker. I'm the artistic director of the Playthings Theater. First off, I want to thank Jessica for that virtual cocktail. It was a lot of fun. So Playthings is an LGBTQ plus theater company producing classic and contemporary works of plays and musicals. We're a family of storytellers trying to create a safe place here in New York for LGBTQ voices to be heard, other than just maybe 1 or 2 shows on Broadway during a season. I would like to also just echo Jessica for a minute and say, if you haven't donated already, please consider to donate. If you have donated, thank you so much. It means the world to us and also helps us during this time to bring virtual events during a time of isolation to the community. Today's brunch, I will have multiple panels from some of our favorite actors, along with Roderick Hugh Mason, and a lovely holiday announcement of our upcoming shows. To start, let's go ahead and bring on the performers for the first panel discussion, and we can go around and introduce ourselves.
Hi, I'm Katya Colazo, she, her.
Hi, I'm Aaron Mitchum, he, him.
Hi there, I'm Kristen Feeney, she, her.
Oh, Mason, you muted.
Unmuted, am I? Oh boy.
You're unmuted.
Muted, there we go. Hi, Mason Hensley, he, him.
Great. So to start off, thank you all for joining us. It means the world to me to see all your lovely faces. It's been I've been avoiding talking about this. I've been avoiding it like the plague, you can say. So it's just really great to see all of you. You are some of my favorite actors that I've worked with, and also just recently worked with, for some of you. But I just want to have a nice, very laid back, fun conversation during brunch about theater and performing and producing during COVID and how we've all somehow survived through this thing so far. I do want to, like, before we get started, I do still want to say thank you so much to our first responders, everyone in the healthcare community, where whatever level that is on. You are, we can't thank you enough. So let's just start by, I guess, talking about one question that I have for all of you, and we can all take turns answering it, I guess, is how did we adapt to where we are right now? Because sometimes actors are able to send in tapes and videos of themselves and stuff like that, but I don't think it's been as fluid as that for everyone. So does anybody want to start?
Sure, I'll jump in. Yeah, I mean, definitely having done self-tapes in the past, that certainly helps. But I know for me, there have been any number of challenges. I was quarantining alone. I'm still self at the moment. And so I would just inadvertently go like 4 days without speaking. So then you suddenly try to like do a monologue or sing and you're like, oh, hello, good morning. You know, like it just, your instrument doesn't feel quite the same. And just, I think that the stress and anxiety of everything, just sort of the weight of all of that kind of really, oh my goodness, it changed the way everything felt in my body when I would speak and I would sing. So I think there was definitely a big adaptation for me.
Yeah, I can say that I was getting very used to like going to piano bars after work, and that's not happening anymore, and I'm a little sad about it. How about you, Mason? All outside and
I'm outside right now. Yes, it's nice. It's cold. I would say things have definitely changed for me. I did a Zoom reading this week, and it's just not the same. It's hard acting into a camera, but I do think that we've had a good experience with doing the recording. That I definitely felt was more like we were building something, which I really loved.
Mason's referring to our production of Honey Fits. Sorry, I almost said another show that we did, which is also the other three of you were a part of the Love Sonnets with Ryan Amador's music. So it's been nice to kind of come together and do this at least together. Like we're all in, I don't want to say we're all in this together, but we are. Anybody else?
Yeah, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, you first. You first.
Oh,
Go ahead.
no. Okay.
Okay. All right. So, when COVID happened, for me, the lack of work and ability to work together, led to me. I just sort of instinctually started reaching out to everyone I knew and started putting together readings of both plays that were familiar and new works that friends were writing, and just became engaged in that as much as possible. And that's what I've really been up to this whole time. That and making plans for the future when things can actually, happen again. That's kind of what I've been up to. And it didn't feel so unfamiliar. I mean, as we've touched on the self-tape thing, but there were definitely things that we found that worked and didn't work along the way.
Yeah. Katya, do you want to jump in?
Yeah. As far as how I got here, when all this started, like when New York and pretty much the world shut down, I kind of I shut down with it in a sense of like, I needed this time to sleep because prior to this, I was just all over the place. Like I was doing teaching artist work, I was working multiple jobs, I was auditioning. So it was just like, I felt like life was starting to like plow ahead too fast for me to keep up. That once all of this happened, I was like, oh my God, I can sleep. Which is like such a weird thing to say in this time when so many people have like devoted their lives to helping other people during this pandemic. But I also think this sort of gave me personally an opportunity to actually just stop, like truly stop. And so I did really just sleep a lot, honestly. And then I also was able to kind of catch up on like what TV shows are people watching? I never really watched TV or watched movies. I'm like, what is out there? Like, what are these shows that I'm auditioning for? Like, you know what I mean? So it was like I was able to actually like kind of educate myself on what's going on outside of the world that I should be in tune with. And then just in my own nature, like after a while, I just needed to do something. So I just started taking workshops online. I signed up for an improv class through Magnet Theater, and I was just taking improv classes for 8 weeks and doing some voiceover workshops and just trying to keep myself creatively busy in that way so that I didn't feel like I was just also sitting around doing nothing. And then from there, friends started creating work, and then they started finding ways of like being productive on this medium. And so I was involved in a lot of workshopping, like plays that people are writing and sitting in on developmental things. And yeah, so I think a lot of that sort of came out of this, and then things started opening back up again. And then now more and more people are embracing this new medium. So yeah, so that's sort of where I've been in all of this.
Yeah, I can attest that it was nice to take like a little bit of a reprieve and a breath, if you will. That was also during the time that I thought that this thing was only going to last a couple of weeks.
Right.
And I was like, okay, cool. We'll just take a 2-week break or something like that. And then it went on longer, and I was like, okay, we're coming up to summer. Pride's coming up. It's a little difficult to produce LGBTQ plus work during Pride because there are so many things being like already thrown out there. There's Broadway Bears and X, Y, and Z and going on, and there's just so much. So let's take a break. Let's recollect and then come back and approach it, because I feel like this is just like cross all theater, whether you're an actor, director, writer, producer, or whatever, is that it's always like, what is the next job? And where are we going immediately after this? Like the day that closing happens wasn't when you thought of the end of the show. It's like 2 weeks prior and you're going, so I need to go to auditions, but I still have a 3:00 matinee. How do I make this all work at the same time? And just to take this breath was actually kind of good and really instilled in me that you don't always have to immediately jump into the next thing. You can take a minute to recollect and move on. With that being said, I'm ready to move on though. Like I'm ready for next steps.
But I think also like taking this time to not just like this break, it also sort of makes you rethink what are your priorities and your goals, and like what do you actually want to like what do you want to do for yourself, because I think outside of this, like we're all always trying to find that next job, that sometimes I think we forget that, oh wait, like I'm also a human and I also have things that I love to do for myself, or like things I've been wanting to do for a while that I have been putting to the side and haven't actually done. So, I think that also has allowed us, I think collectively, to figure out like what is actually important, which I think is also what we see like people talking about every day too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What has been, I know, Aaron, you mentioned this earlier that you were kind of working on some readings and stuff, but what has been kind of the outlet that you've found or haven't found and would like to, that has kind of taken all these like creative impulses and given you kind of that moment of being like, okay, cool, I'm performing again?
I mean, just outside of bringing people together and doing the work, just really being able to get inside of whatever it was we were reading and just talk and listen, just to really be able to connect, because that's the one thing we all seemingly can't do right now, right? But finding the way to still do that, and I don't know if I'm going to get ahead of myself here, but I mean, the really beautiful thing that's formed that I've been able to get out of this is what looks like a new production team of my own, with a friend creating new work, and we are, hopefully going to be filming something in the spring. So, I mean, am I answering the question?
No, you're doing just fine.
Okay.
I feel like a lot of the connections that we've made during this time are gonna hold tight. Like, they're very strong links in the chain of people that we found to do creative work with. For example, I mean, I did not know Katya prior to us doing the love sonnets. There was a situation where it was like, okay, we need to fill a couple more of these sonnets. And Paul Edwards, who's a mutual friend of ours, who has directed Adam and Brian for Playthings and has done a bunch of stuff, I was just like, help, need help, please, somebody, anybody, I need help. And he sent me this lovely list of actors, and I'm so happy that, like, we've never met. Like, I don't know you from Eve, you don't know me from Adam.
No.
And like, there is just no, like, but you came through and you did an amazing job.
Thank you.
And I'm so happy about it. And I'm so happy that, like, Playthings has found you, because like it in a lot of ways, I have this thing of like a Rolodex of actors, and Kristen's one of them as well, that like are constantly in my head, of people that I know I can turn to, and I know that like they will show up, they will do the work, and it will be, it will be amazing, and it's just so fantastic. So, but like, this also leads me into just thanking all four of you, since Mason came back. Hi. To thank all four of you for being a part of this like virtual time for Playthings. There's it's my dark humor wants to bring this up, but it's not the first, it's not the first pandemic or illness that the queer community has had to face. And we're all like, also our allies, and we're all here, and we're all sticking with each other. And it really brings such amazing community to see that like people are coming through and really being a part of during this time of isolation, where we're all just like desperate for communication, but also some of us are in a situation where we're back at home and sitting with our parents being like, okay, now I feel like I'm back in high school. So it's been so lovely, and I just want to thank each and every one of you for doing this, and anybody who's watching who's been a part of some of the stuff as well. So yeah. I guess, so one of my other questions for all four of you is, what is the one thing you probably miss the most and are excited to go back to when we go back to doing live theater?
Being in the space.
People.
Yeah. Just being in the space with another human being. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a big one.
Being able to hold space with another human being.
Yeah, holding that space with someone, like, I mean, right now, like, I'm alone in my apartment, and so we're all having this lovely conversation and chatting, but it's just not the same thing as like sharing that energy with people sitting in the same room, like at a table on an actual panel. And yeah, all that energetic space, the physical contact, the hugging, like Mason said.
Yeah. I want us all to be like, this symposium should have been like at a very long table, and we could just have like all this food and drink in front of us. Like, so would the audience. Like, they would have their own little mini tables. We'll make it like a cabaret setting. And it would just have people coming out with like mimosas and all the things, and it would just be great. Well, I guess this is a little bit of on my end asking all of you, because I'm always trying to be a better artistic director, listen to my actors, listen to performers and stuff like that, and find out how I can do better. What would you, dealing with, whether it be the love sonnets or dealing with whether it be Honey Fits Mason, like the I guess, to soften the blow, if there's anything negative to be said, talk about, I mean, what was the pros and cons? What did you enjoy? What do you think could get better? This is all just for me to be a better producer for all of you.
If anything, I can say for the Honey Fits process, I liked the ability to speak into the mic, looking and trying to make a connection into the void. It's not the same as obviously making a connection with your partner in the space, but I would say that I actually really love the process of the creators and the actors finding what it's like to act through Zoom, through the camera at another person, and then less focusing, like, I felt like when we finally were like, it's not also about like which way we're looking so it looks like we're in a scene, and more so just like when it was the most truthful, that was when it felt the closest to theater, and that was what I was grateful for. So I felt like we did a good combo of both navigating it and also letting it go, and Jessica was great about letting us try things, so that I'm really grateful for.
Great.
Yeah, I did love sonnets, and what I honestly, there wasn't anything more that I felt like could have been different, because I felt like, I was doing a sonnet, and really the only thing you can do is just send the tape and just, do you have any notes? Like, you know what I mean? And like, if there was anything that needed to be changed, or if there's anything that needed to be different, and it was nice because doing it sort of like self-tape style, you're doing it 1,000 different ways, and which one is the strongest take, and this is what I think is the strongest take, what do you think? So, you kind of collaborate in that way, which is what I really liked.
Great.
Yeah, I think having like the freedom to just, that you trust us is really nice. Nothing really ever feels micromanaged, and so I appreciate that freedom to just bring myself and who I am to the work, and let that just live as is. That's a great space to work in that regard.
Yeah, I always want to, at least when I'm, well, at all times, but especially when I'm not, at least, especially when I'm directing, I just kind of want to make it a safe place and be like, here's the world, here's the story, go have fun. I'll tell you if I'm looking at the back of your head.
Yeah, I will second what was said and say that the sense that you trust us is very strong, and that feeling of creating a safe space is something that you definitely do for us, and thank you for that.
That makes me happy. That makes me feel like I'm moving in the right direction. I mean, it's just, I'm paraphrasing and I don't remember who I'm quoting while I'm paraphrasing them, which is terrible, but it's like 80 to 90% of directing is just casting good actors, and then just the rest of it is just sitting back and being like, can you look a little bit more to the left? Great, I can see you now. We're good. So I think we're gonna move on, but I want to thank each and every one of you again for this. It's been so great. I want to give you a little cheers since there's a little bit of a drinking involved for the audience. So if they want to cheers along, that's fine as well. I guess let's just go around one more time, and just if you want to leave us with any closing hopeful things while everyone's isolated to leave with the community.
Go vote.
Yes.
Go vote.
Early voting has begun in New York. Go vote.
Yes. And don't give up on the arts. Don't give up on in how you communicate with your friends and your family, and just in the energy that you put out into the universe. Like theater is going to live again, the arts are going to thrive again, but like we all have to do our part to hold that energetically and as much as we can in our conversations and in our hearts.
Hug those you can. Seriously, if you can, if not in person, like call someone a day. I don't know, that always makes me feel better. So that's all cheers.
Aaron, you got anything for us?
It's been said, yes. Be love, spread love.
That's great. Thank you all so much for this. This was so lovely. I can't wait to see you all in person soon.
Yes.
And some of
you guys.
Thanks. All right. So our next part is actually our holiday announcements. So we are moving forward with our virtual productions moving into the new year. So what we are going to be heading into is going to be You Are Home, which we did last year with Mother's Daughters. But this year we've been building on it, and we're going to continue to build throughout the years to kind of create a holiday extravaganza, if you will, of shows and stuff like that. And it's really to focus on everyone who is trying to, whether you are here during the holidays and with family, whether you have made a friend group or an ally group who you feel comfortable with during the holidays, or whether you are trying to still find that. We are looking, Playthings is looking to create this as a space and a performance that you can come to and feel community during the time of the holidays, when a lot of people are struggling with family, struggling with depression during seasonal stuff and everything going on. So You Are Home, which will be a cabaret and drag queen performance, is going to run October 27th, and which is the day after Thanksgiving, and it will run and be up on our YouTube up until New Year's. So if you want to watch it 100 times, you can, for every single time that you need to feel a sense of the community during this time of isolation during the holidays. I believe we have a brief little note from Shaquita, a message from Shaquita that we can put up right now.
Hey guys, Shaquita here. I just want to say that I'm so excited to be part of Playthings Theater Holiday Extravaganza. I hope you guys are safe. I hope you guys had an okay year. I know for a lot of people it was tough. For me, it was tough. I have not worked since February 29th. But it's the holiday season, and I was thinking, what can I do that will be sort of appropriate for what's going on right now? So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to do a quick costume change and try to heal the world. Ladies and gentlemen, my gift to you. Hit it!
Thank you so much, Shaquita. The other event that I want to make you all aware of is that during December 18th at 8 p.m. will be the premiere of The Most Fabulous Story Ever Told by Paul Rudnick. It's a farce, which has been a lot of fun for me to try to figure out how to direct a farce in Zoom. So I hope you all can join us. After that premiere, we will have kind of a patron Zoom event, which will include kind of a holiday celebration for everyone. We can talk, cheers, have a nice drink, and just bring in the new year and the holidays with community and family. At this point, I think we're going to move in and bring in Billy Reese, who actually is one of our cabaret performers, composers, that sort of stuff for You Are Home for the performance.
Hi, how are you? Happy brunch.
Happy brunch.
What a lovely brunch symposium this has been.
The cheers.
I didn't make the cocktail at the beginning, but I do have coffee. We'll pretend it's that cocktail, and it's all good. We're celebrating. I just wanted to be upfront with you that I'm not following the rules. Okay.
It's fine. I mean, I don't think you followed the rules when we did one of our one-on-one conversations on Instagram. So like
this is true. I'm a real rule breaker. Absolutely. Absolutely. How are you doing?
Doing good. How are you?
I'm good. Yeah. I'm so excited for this event that you are working on. It's I'm excited to cook some stuff up for it. But I'm excited to see what everybody is cooking up for it.
Go ahead and give us a little bit of a background of your work and all that stuff. I mean, I met you through the York Theater. God, was that like half a decade ago? Calendars aren't real anymore.
Whenever it was, it certainly feels like a lifetime ago for sure. Well, we met at the York, of course, that lovely church basement that we're both big fans of. And you were sort of telling me about this lovely little theater company of yours, and you were trying to find ways of how I could get involved. And I'm a composer and lyricist, and since then, it's been a pleasure having my songs, featured in your lovely galas by some amazing people. You added a tap dance in one of them, which was I still think about it.
The gala is named Play Fresh, and it's all.
And you played fresh. You absolutely played fresh.
LGBTQ plus works that we can get on the stage, and I just beg, borrow, and steal and get whoever famous person I can get. I mean, I'm just like, hey, Randy Harrison, you don't really know me that well, but I really adore you. And like, don't you want to do work with us? You've done like 2 shows with us before. Why don't you do another one? Thank you. Bye. But
how lovely that you did that.
It was with Sam, right? Sam Underwood?
Sam Underwood, who's amazing and is an amazing dancer, which you knew, I did not know. And you exploited that. And it was wonderful. So wonderful.
And that boy teaches tap, so but like after you submitted your song Dancing with the Devil, I was like, oh, there has to be a dance involved. So
you really went literal with it. Absolutely.
Me and Mark Hartman sat down and just like, I think we were in like the basement of the Irish Repertory Theater at the time. And just we're plunging.
Much of Playthings begins in basements, I suppose.
Right. And I remember I was just like, hey, let's take like this to this and just try to see if we can make a tap dance happen.
Yeah, and it was great.
Did it. But you also like fully trusted me on that, because I don't even think I told you ahead of time. I think I sent you a quick email being like, we're putting a tap dance to this.
I don't even know if you did, to be honest. No, because I was sitting there in the audience. I didn't really know what to expect. And as Sam got up, I was like, is he wearing tap shoes? Are they? They're going for it. And you went for it, and it was wonderful. It was so wonderful. I recorded a little bootleg on my iPhone. I got the audio, in the vault. So
So when
But,
you compile it all into a show that we produce, we'll know
Exactly.
where it needs to go.
Exactly. I will steal that exact arrangement. It'll be great. You'll get a small cut. Don't worry.
So tell me about some of your other shows, and then we'll go into what you're bringing for the
Yeah.
holiday extravaganza, as Shaquita puts it.
Absolutely. Other shows like pre-pandemic or during pandemic?
Both. Let's just go with both.
Oh God. Well, pre-pandemic, I was lucky enough to write the score for a show called A Musical About Star Wars that was running first at Theater Row and then at St. Luke's. By the time that the pandemic hit, we'd been running for a year, which was awesome. I got asked to write that score my senior year of college, and we opened it, like a couple days before I graduated. So it was like such like a crazy like whirlwind week and experience, and it's such a gem of a little show. It'll, as far as I know, yeah.
Was Emily
McNamara was the female lead.
Okay, great.
Absolutely.
I thought it was McEnroe, but I'm like that's not right.
Yes, Emily McNamara, gay icon, absolutely. Rise Bar's own Emily McNamara. We love her. But yeah, and as far as I know, that show will be returning post-pandemic. We're cooking up a few exciting things with it right now that I can't talk about, but you will find out when I can.
You're just announcing Playthings shows right now, not your shows.
Yeah, exactly. When I hold my own brunch symposium, I'll explain. But yeah, so that was the biggie, and I do a lot of cabaret work and concert work, so it's definitely a bummer to be not able to be in these small intimate spaces sharing songs, but I think there have been some really fantastic online Zoom opportunities and everything to get our work out there and to sort of keep new work happening. I've definitely kept busy in that respect over the last couple months, and have been able to focus on the projects that I always wanted to write and didn't have the time to, and sort of really come to understand my own creative voice, I guess. I'm sort of so inspired by theater makers like you, and like all these small companies who are sort of not daunted by this right now, and are saying, no, we are going to continue to put work out. We are going to continue to do stuff.
Well, we don't have any overhead, so.
Well, sure. I mean,
we have minimal overhead.
but you look at these big companies who do have the sort of budget and resources to change the game with online theater, and are sort of instead choosing to sort of not do anything and be quiet for a year and a half. Yeah.
Make those holiday requests.
Yeah, exactly. Which is kind of a bummer, So it's nice to see these small companies be,
aggressive, be aggressive.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah.
Well, that's great. So tell me a little bit about what you're going to bring to this holiday extravaganza.
Well,
I'm going to keep saying that because Shaquita said it.
As well you should. I think she should get 10% of the proceeds from that word itself. But it's
I'm not for sure if gay vampires are allowed to get proceeds, but we'll look into that. She's going to hate me for calling her a vampire, but it's a joke that we hold together from working at Pieces and Hardware.
I will not dive further into that, but I'm sure there's a grand story there.
She's been around forever.
I believe that. I believe. I'll be breaking out my mother's 1980s Christmas sweaters with shoulder pads and sitting by the spinet and singing some funny raunchy Christmas songs and whatnot. At my concerts every year, I always sort of make it a point to do a Christmas number, regardless of what month it is. Normally they're not in December. I had been singing in concert a song about the Starbucks red Christmas cup scandal from 2015, well into 2019. So maybe we'll revisit that as a bit of a museum piece. But but yeah, you know, so I'll be doing some sort of raunchy Christmas songs that you might not expect. And for the last couple weeks, I've been working with the great Paige Turner on her Christmas album, and maybe we might premiere a song from that. We'll see. We'll see. But I'll keep you on your toes. You know.
Yeah. For all of you wondering what Paige Turner looks like, that's Paige Turner. She's a woman.
There she is, gorgeous. But but yeah, it'll definitely be some Christmas songs like you've never heard them. So I'm excited for it. Yeah,
everything the holiday needs.
Absolutely. A little raunch, and my mother's 1980s Christmas sweaters with shoulder pads. They're fabulous sweaters. I wear them year round. I mean, come on now. They're fabulous.
I think you've met me at a bar with them on.
Yeah.
I feel like I didn't say anything, but like
yeah, well, I wear them underneath whatever I'm wearing just for good luck. So even if even if you didn't notice, it was probably on. I'm wearing them right now. You just see.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's just I want to thank you because it's just so important, especially this year. Where everyone is so isolated and what's going on. It's just, I mean, we can, let's talk a little bit about like the importance of specifically queer community during, or LGBTQ plus, because some people still find queer to be slang or a derogatory term. So LGBTQ plus. Why it's important during this time to kind of bring, and even outside of pandemic, just be able to have, sorry, I'm trying to like conjugate the way that I want to say
this. Please
have the community brought to you as opposed to you seeking it. And have the community like be out there and just be like, you're with us, it's fine. And I think I mentioned this before, but like the amount of people that are that when this shift happened, whether they needed to leave their apartment or they lost their jobs and maybe went to mom and dad, because I'm thinking about every single kid from NYU that now like can go back virtually, but like also is now back to like that. Personally for me, it's that scared the sophomore in high school being like, do I come out to them? Come out to them? And there is like, you know, when you get back to that kind of environment, you're brought back all of those memories and you're sitting there trying to fight off anxiety and panic attacks all the time.
Sure. No, absolutely. It's my heart certainly goes out to them. That's tough. That is really tough. And you know, these are, for those kids specifically, those are 4 years, you know, that are sort of defined by you discovering yourself and discovering, you know, truths about yourself that you might not discover under the roof that you grew up in. So it definitely is hard. And I would think can be harmful. So I think it is important, the kind of work that you are doing and you know, I mean, especially now, thankfully, there is sort of an abundance of queer-themed, you know, cinema and TV and, you know, and virtual theater that is able to reach these kids. Obviously, we're still not there, but, you know, I think even for me, you know, it coming out, you know, 5 years ago or so, it was such a different world, and I still sort of felt a stigma attached to it, and I think it is a little bit easier now for younger queer kids, which is really inspiring. But again, like you're saying, it is important that we let them know that we're here, and even though we can't be together, there are ways that we can, you know.
Yeah, I think just the importance of community right now. But like also outside, because holiday times are so rough. I mean, it's seasonal depression. It's going back home and having to sit across from your racist, homophobic person that you occasionally love.
Sure.
Because you're biologically driven to love them, apparently.
No, sure, exactly. And you know, during an election year, that's even, you know, more, you know, even more of a pressing issue, I would think.
Yeah.
You know, you know, who knows what Thanksgivings will look like this year, but if it was a normal Thanksgiving, I can only imagine what those conversations would be like, you know. But it's certainly polarizing, but yeah, like you're saying, it's really important work that you are, you know, going out there and letting people know that you're there.
Yeah. So I asked the earlier group about this. What is one of the one things that you are can't wait to go back to, like, live theater and experience?
Oh God! You know what? You know what? I
Even though I
can't wait.
despised
Yeah.
tech earlier, like, I am ready to be like, how many hours do you want me to work straight? There,
Yeah.
I'm done.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah. I mean, specifically, I've been thinking a lot about this. I miss the bad shows, is what I miss right now, you know, and like taking them for granted and like, you know, having a few too many drinks beforehand and just like having, you know, no fun during the show, but having a lot of fun and making fun of it as soon as the curtain falls. So there's certainly that. But, you know, it's just sort of like that atmosphere, like you're talking about, of being together and building a sense of like community in the room, you know, being with strangers for 2 hours in an enclosed space is something that obviously we so took for granted. And I think it is going to lead to such a exciting renaissance when this is all over of you know, of strangers coming together and enjoying each other's presence, you know.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, I agree with you 100%. Well, do me a favor.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead and plug your stuff for a second and plug Paige as well, and let us know about all that stuff, because this is, you know, arguably a free event for y'all, so you should be able to plug yourselves. So tell other people where they can find you on the social.
Oh, sure. Well, you can. Yes, I didn't even think. I don't have my last name on here. I'm actually just going to change that there. But yeah, you can find me on Spotify or iTunes, what have you. SpillyReese.com. And you'll be able to sort of follow all the, you know, fun little projects we have coming up. And yeah, I'm not sure when what the exact date. Thank you. What the exact date of Paige's album is, but it'll be out this year, as far as I know, and it'll be very exciting and very fun. But
that's great.
Yeah,
I love Paige so much.
She's a hoot and a half.
All the back and forths and stuff like that.
Absolutely.
So, Billy, thank you so much. I appreciate this abundantly. Is there anything that you would like to leave the world with while we're all in this isolated state?
I would say, just like the last group said, go out and vote, man. No time to be complicit right now. No. Vote early if you can. I will be voting on election day. I'm in my hometown of Long Island, just so I get the thrill of voting blue in a primarily red neighborhood. Right. Yeah. So that's it. That's all I will be saying for the next 9 days. That's all anyone should be saying for the next 9 days. Exactly. I'll probably make that cocktail tonight that we learned about in the first 5 minutes.
Yeah. That being said, this will be up on. We had a little bit of technical difficulties with YouTube earlier this weekend. So it will be up on YouTube for posterity, for people to watch. And whenever you need to figure out and you want to have a drink, you can go back and see Jessica doing it. That was so charming, wasn't it?
Charming. So charming.
I'm gonna shut her out for just a second right now. You're probably not gonna see her face, but she is the one literally controlling all of the strings of this conversation.
She is. Like Matthew Broderick in War Games.
Look at those earrings.
That is great. That is great.
She is the puppeteer, and I am simply the puppet.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Well, she's making you look very good right now.
Thank you. And you too. You look great, Ben.
Oh my God. I got a haircut recently. It's a little too short for me, is what I will say, which is why I'm wearing a hat. I'm sorry. I know it's a little rude,
You're
but
fine.
thank you.
It seems to all match.
Thank you.
Hey, Roger.
Hello. Oh, Lord, I'm live and in Technicolor, child.
In Technicolor, and you're our next part of the symposium.
I love it.
We're gonna say goodbye to Billy. Bye, Billy.
Goodbye, Billy.
Bye. Bye, everyone. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Billy. Roger, oh God, I have been waiting this whole entire symposium to talk with you.
I'm bringing in the
time we are
ankle
seeing each other through like Technicolor, as you said.
Oh,
this is
Lord.
Great.
Oh, oh my goodness. Oh, listen. Let me do two things. Since we're live, y'all gonna see how the magic happens. I'm gonna put this ring light on. See this? Oh, now I have less wrinkles in this Technicolor. Lord. Oh my God. Well, how are you, Jason?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm doing fabulous. It's Sunday, so I did an early morning yoga, and then I had, some stuff I needed to do before this conversation, but everything is going very, very well in my world.
Early morning yoga for you is extremely early morning yoga for us because you are in California. And
well, you all love to brunch on Sundays. I mean, I miss that about New York. So many a deal is struck and manifested in over too many biscuits and a very guilty waffle afternoon in New York. That I remember.
You say a deal, I say a plot.
Say again.
You say a deal, I say a plot.
That's true. That is true.
Oh, Roger, thank you so much for joining us. It's such a joy to have you join us. I'm gonna, for just a second, give everyone who's watching, and we'll watch a little bit later because we had some YouTube technical difficulties, so we're going to be putting this up later.
Right.
We met through this pandemic. We met because I can't remember for the life of me because time is.
I don't know either.
Construct that no one understands anymore. But one of us messaged each other on social media.
I think I had found out about what it was I had found out about your theater, and I had messaged your general Instagram to find out more information about you because you were a company that I hadn't heard of before on the queer scene in New York. And so I thought I would introduce myself, as I many times do. Oh, look at this light. Okay, we got it. Oh, Lord. It's live, honey. We just edit it out or leave it. Whatever idiosyncrasies you want to keep, they're yours. That's what I think it was. I think we met through the Instagrams,
Yeah. And then we chatted on the phone because your project Lavender Men. The play you wrote.
Yeah.
No, the play you wrote. Also your project. Also all these other words that I could use.
Oh, there's a lot. There's a lot with Lavender Men. I mean, and now there's a short film inspired by the play that was made last month. And I can't say too much about it, but there's a little special something that we're going to do with a few theaters. And then in addition to that, we're going to hit the festival circuit and apply for different, film festivals. So we're trying to really go quite big with this thing, even through the pandemic, and see where we can go. Because the reality of the situation is, Jason, we have to, as theater, be in observance of and the times that we're living in, and also be flexible and spry enough to pivot and still make work. Because here's what I have found, and this is very interesting. what we are returning to through Zoom performance, I think, is the Homeric connection between fireside storyteller and listener. There is an intimate relationship that is developed, divorced of spectacle. You see where I'm going with this?
Yeah. Yeah.
That is intrinsically theatrical. It is a way of communicating narrative ideas that I think is unique to our craft. What does it mean for me as one human being looking at you to say, I got something to tell you? And have you just sit there and listen, one person to another, and absorb that? That intimate connection that's made between narrator and narratee can be translated, I feel, into our current marketplace.
Yeah.
It's not the same, because what's missing is the other campfire visitors who are there with you and feeding, and the ability to feed off of the audience and learn from the audience live and in person what your performance is doing to them. That alchemic dynamic is missing. But I think what we have done is we've become much more intimate listeners and responders. That we have done. And my hope is when we return to the live theaters, we won't lose sight of what it means, that little special connection.
Yeah.
That's what my work has always done. That's why I love Fourth Wall Address. Partially because I'm the showgirl who writes it down. You know, I'm a cabaret, I'm just a bar lounge singer, honey. Oh, that's all I ever wanted to be. You know, I mean, growing up was I just wanted to sing the blues and move the people. So I have found my plays have become my blues, you know, and they're as intimate and guttural and emotive and immediate and vulnerable as any blues song is. And the connection between audience and performer is immediate, and it is unapologetic, and it is very specific. I got something to tell you. No, you over there with your phone out still. Why you still got your phone out? You know, Patty Lupone ain't the only one can bitch you out. Miss Mason can do it too. All right, now you ready? All right, baby. Go ahead and close your legs. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and, you know, that's something. But you see, that's what brought me to the theater, because that's a brave bitch. That's a braver bitch than I am in life. You know, that performerly self. Through that person, I was able to find my own strength and self-assuredness and self-love. So you're talking about changing the face of theater. You know, what we have to do is really learn, I think, to love again what we do.
Yeah.
And reassess why we do it in times that don't look like what we're accustomed to. You know, I've always said the key to life is learning to embrace discomfort and uncertainty. Well, this is uncomfortable as hell. This is uncertain as a motherfucker.
Yeah.
So what do? Those of us that are able to figure out ways of connecting, who go back to our mission statements and our principles. Why are we doing this work? And how can we continue to do it now using the technologies and the things, never resting, because you can't atrophy and lose sight of what it is to be live. You know, I was doing a couple of recordings this past week, and some of the actors were like, but damn, I've been doing so much bad television. I forgot what it was to do this work, even though the format is similar, right? You know, because we're just doing the Betty White show, 1949, you know, experimental, you know, closed circuit television, live from Burbank. Come and get it, brought to you by Palmolive. But even though we're doing that. There's still, because it's a theater endeavor, there's still a little something more dynamic, you know. So it's interesting for theater performers who've been Zooming or doing a lot of TV spots or commercials, socially distant or quarantining and going into the studio and going home. We lose sight of, oh, that live element. You know, there's nothing like the diva coming out. She ain't saying one note. But when she does that cross and that entrance, and here come Carol Channing, and that look, that's magic. And it's live. And every night it's different because something happened before and something's happening now and something's going to happen after. And we can't predict that. So I think changing the face of theater is about returning to the magic and the majesty of what we do.
Yeah.
That's what we have to do first. We have to fall in love. You know, how many of us were just struggling before this? How many of us were actively listening before this in our everyday life? Let me tell you about Miss Rona. Child, Miss Rona told you to sit your ass down and listen. You can't do nothing you want. All them 10 meetings you thought you was going to have, you ain't going to have them. You can't go outside. So what do you have left besides listening and connection? That's what you have. It simplified and streamlined our lives. We were asked to think at the beginning of this pandemic was an existential awakening. Let me tell you, and I'm saying was, child, we still in it. So is an existential awakening. Let me tell you what Miss Rona did. Miss Rona made you assemble a list. You had to determine what was essential and what was not essential in your life. Now, what made this list versus that list? You had 8 months. You know what the hell's on it. And you know what you've tried to sneak on one side or the other, too. You do.
Yeah.
So we have to think about, why are we essential? Why are we essential? Why is it essential for performers to move their bodies in real time and space? Why is it essential for stories to be told about the human experience so that people feel seen? Why is it important for people to gather in a place to hear something that they, as a self-selected group, have decided is important for them to invest time, energy, money, and psychic space in tonight? Right. And why have they come to a live place in order to consume it rather than stayed at home? I saw Bad Hair last night on Hulu. That shit was dynamic as a motherfucker, but it wasn't a play. It wasn't a play. It was fabulous. Yeah. I was like, oh, girl, don't do that. Oh, my God, you're going to, I had all the reactions, but it wasn't the same. Why? Because there wasn't some patron of the arts next to me saying, shh, we love her. We love her. Miss Eleanor. We love Miss Eleanor. Miss Eleanor Franklin. We love her because you know why? She reminds us that we're in a room with other people. Boom. Now, that's the other part. We're in community. As artists, as arts leaders, as board members, helping artistic leaders make decisions, as audience members, telling the theater as audience members in a space, you know, encouraging and responding to, you know, a theatrical event. You know, I make noise in the theater, Jason. You know why I make noise in the theater? Let me tell you why. I make noise in the theater because I think it's a democratic place. I think the Restoration period took the democracy out of theater. It became something for the mercantile class to consume. And as capitalism continued to bloom into what she is now, I think that for better or for worse, our institution became more and more related to status and class. And there have been plenty of efforts, including the fabulous work of writer activists like Luis Valdez to democratize theater. But I think what's happening right now is a real reckoning, because the folks in the room are saying, wait a minute, I'm not being seen and treated the same. I have certain demands, and I got audiences that are willing to back me and willing to come with me and bear witness. I think the Groundlings were a powerful force in Shakespearean theater, because they let Bill know if his shit sucked or not. They were like, you've been making 2,000 boots and you came across the Thames, you brought that one jug of ale that you could afford because you done spent the rest of your money, betting on a rooster with your cousin. And you're out here trying to have a nice time. What an amazing space, and the Globe has just gotten some relief grant. I was very happy to see that.
Yeah.
Amazingly democratizing and humanizing experience to have all of the strata of society in one room to see an event. It's unifying. We can't forget that. We have a unifying power. The theater has a unifying power. That's how you change the face of theater. You remember that. And that's that. I'm pulling stuff from classical white Anglo-Saxon Protestant points of view, honey. I'm not even doing, I'm not even doing my progressive spiel. I'm taking you to the class that we all had to take. That man said that. I didn't. Don't look at the Black Arts Movement. We weren't the only. That's what y'all said. That's the promise that you made, and we sit here and continue to hold dear those works, canonized. In fact, the center of the canon, Shakespeare. Well, guess what? That was a democratic room. That was a unifying room. We got to remember that. So when theaters have things like Pay What You Can, or, providing opportunities for people under 30, that's a step towards that gesture. Because it's acknowledging, how do we make sure that this is accessible to everybody?
Mm-hmm.
How do we do that? You had a question. I don't even remember what the hell it was. Well, look what we did. I don't know. What did I do? Lord, you're going to have to censor me, child. I don't know if your audience and your sponsors is going to be mad at me. I don't know anymore.
No one's going to be mad. If anybody's mad, they can come and talk to me. I just love listening to you. You are if we were to follow your analogy, if you were coming to the fireside, I would be the first person pushing somebody into the fire to be like, no, I'm listening. What's up? So, what's going on? What's going on? And every single conversation we've had, and I think there's only been 3 over actual audio.
Right.
I'm just tell me all the things. You can make me a better person. Please make me a better person.
Oh my God. I'm just a little queer sister in the woods telling the truth to whoever will hear me.
We need more of that, and I'd love to be the woods that you're in. So please, anytime you want to stop by Playthings, anytime that you want to come and be like, I got a story to tell. Let's do it.
I appreciate that invitation.
Adore you.
Thank you very much.
And I was thinking when you said about the being a cabaret performer for the blues and stuff like that, it got me to think blues and jazz and it's beat back, and the actual words of beat back, but also the idea of emphasizing the second and fourth measure.
Look at you getting checked. The downbeat, honey. You know, as Duke Ellington said, you have to bop your head after the beat so we know you have a point of view.
She's gone to the theater.
you've got to have a little attitude. You know, there's something about syncopation that's always been a part of my life. There's always, you know, syncopation is about freedom. Syncopation is about finding the notes between the notes. You know, if you have a time signature, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, and 1, and 2, and 3, and you know, like there's something very liberating about finding the space in between. And as somebody who's in a liminal space, culturally, civically, you know, genderly, I'm going to go make that term up today. You know, I know what it is to syncopate because my whole life is syncopated. My whole life is that beat in between beats. I've always been on the fringes, you know, in many ways. And I think I've learned how to thrive because I am on the fringes. That's why I'm the showgirl who writes it down, you know, because she puts on the show of a lifetime, but then she goes home by herself, you know.
I will buy out that house anytime.
Well, when we do Lavender Men, I'll be holding you to that because we're going to probably do some group sales, child, and I'm going to be calling you. I'll tell you right now, you know. But syncopation for me, which is you know, the foundation of the jazz rhythm, is a way of imagining a future outside of what you see. It's a way of saying, I see things and I hear things in between these places. And in that in-between space, I've made another little subworld. And in that world, there's another and yet another and yet another. And so syncopation allows you to create possibility. It allows you also not to be limited by rhythm and not to be limited by structure. You know, this goes into how and why I write. You know, if all I'm doing is writing these blues songs and I'm improvising, you know, there is a set structure. I'm a structure queen. So, you know, I'll say, what ritual is this similar to? And I know what it is. Like when I was doing a white dress, you know, I knew what the structure was. It was the Stations of the Cross. So now we're in Catholic blood ritual. You know, we're still sacrificing the goat. Don't forget the pagan origins of that religion.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so just in case the children want to get upset, you know, Wicca's on the rise. So I'm just going to go ahead and give you that one. You know, we're returning to the woods. We're returning to the woods because we want to hear that story. And the Homers of the world are on their way, but we're returning to the woods, which is interesting, both metaphorically and actually, you know, with especially right now, people going camping and all this, literally. They're like, we can't do anything else. Let me just go to Yellowstone. You'll see it on Instagram and connecting with nature. But what was I saying? I went to the woods and then there was, syncopation. No, but we went to the woods for some damn reason.
We went to the
blues. White dress, right? Blue got to white dress, got to that. Right. I knew what the structure was, and I literally wrote out what the Stations of the Cross were. You see, and then I thought, now what would be the equivalent of that in the world of this particular play? And the first version is always just very mechanical, and then you start finding the funk of the play. And I'll tell you, I didn't really find the funk of that play till 2 weeks ago, and that show's been off Broadway twice. At Access Theater and also at American Theater of Actors. 2 showcase, I don't know what you'd call them. One of them was a showcase run. The other one, I think they were both under one of those codes. Like the semantics of that ends up influencing how the show is seen and the budgets and all that. That I know. But for me, we were off Broadway. You know, for me. I don't know if you want to call it off, whatever. I was in New York for many weeks.
I go to a drag show and I call it off Broadway.
So, honey, some of those are off Broadway shows. Okay, I'm gonna tell you right now, some of those shows. Listen, but I didn't find that play really until last week or a couple weeks ago, because I had to live. Now that show closed in 2019, so last year, and I just found it. Now it's clear that it's a ritual of blood sacrifice. It's very clear. It ends in a blood sacrifice. It's quite specific, but it took me a long time to get to that point. And that brings me to the other reason, the other way that we can change the face of theater is to be self-patient and self-loving. We got to love ourselves. We do the most important work in the world. You know why?
Pardon me, LGBTQ plus community.
Yeah. We do the most important work in the world. You know what that work is? Showing people who they are. That's the most important work in the world. Because if somebody feels seen and somebody feels heard and uplifted, they can go on. You know, what is it that we learned from Samuel Beckett? The great fear of man is to be alone. You know, the great deadener of man, I think is what he calls it. That was what he was saying in Godot. We're all just out here waiting for something that ain't gonna come. But if we can bide the time together, see, that's what Act 2 was. If we can find some way of everything's dead but the tree. That's where he started that. I'll never forget that first time I saw that play. Everything's dead but the tree. I was like, this man is preaching today. Lord. That's that good Irish mysticism, you know, the other side of me, you know, my dad's half Irish. That's that other side, you know. Yeah. That's that. And I know you have a unique and exciting affiliation with Irish Rep, as I understand.
Yeah.
You know,
been there for 11 years. I think I'm trapped.
It's not a bad place to be trapped. You know, I mean, that's off Broadway. Now they're on the list. They're on the official list because there's a list of, and they are on it. So when you do a show in there, that's definitely off Broadway. You know, I think the Irish were blues people too. You know, and that is a blues song for sure. Anybody wants to read about that? I believe Cornell West is talking about Sam Beckett and the blues. You know, in the Cornell West Reader, that's something that he talks about. Chekhov and Coltrane. I think
Irish Rep right now.
Yeah, I think he does that in that essay. But yeah, so I think the key for all of this is we just need to know that we can't look back to what we used to be. We can't try and plan who we're going to be next. We just have to, I think, be in community with each other joyfully now. That's all we can really and realistically do, you know? So I think changing the face of theater is just embracing the faces that we have and really hearing them and listening to them and receiving what they're saying. Because there's a lot of powerful artistic and cultural thought being generated right now. A lot. And it's really worthy of amplification. And you're thinking about what does it mean to be an independent queer theater, making work based from New York, but now suddenly you're on an international stage. You have the ability to do anything and be anyone and exist anywhere you want. You have a face and you don't need a face because you are omnipresent. That's powerful. So how far can that theater go? How many lives can it touch? How many communities or sub-communities can it amplify? That's up to you. You know, you have the power of imagination to determine that. You know, So for me, we change the face of theater by changing, theater is simultaneously local and ethereal. It's alive and it's dying. Um, it's now and it's for all time. I mean, it's always living in this phantasmagorical space.
And it's all in a millisecond too.
Yes.
Just...
Beckett said that too. The same moment, the same second. One day we shall live, one day we shall die, the same moment, the same second. Is that not enough for you? That's what he said. Is that not enough for you? Some people don't know if that's enough. He's talking about, he's on some Buddhist stuff. He's talking about mantra of acceptance. That play is deep. That's a whole, I don't even know how that became, our touchstone for today. But I mean, that play that's a whole other situation, discussing that play. And I'm happy to open the library on that play and come back and we can do a play discussion group. I know that's starting to happen.
I'd love to do that. Yeah.
Reading and wanting, and I'm happy to guide a discussion on that play too, because there's a lot of metaphysical lessons for living to be gleaned from that work. Anyway, child, what the hell are we doing? I don't even know.
Roger, I'm gonna ask you to give us your social media stuff so that we can all, everyone watching can
Great.
Come and follow you. So go ahead and give it us now.
Yes.
Up on
So on Facebook, I am Roger Q for Quincy. So Roger, middle initial Q .Mason. That's me on Facebook. And on Instagram, I'm at Roger Q .Mason. And then on Twitter, I'm at Roger Q Mason. There's no punctuation. I don't really use the Twitter as much, but if enough people start requesting me, I'll start acting a fool on there too. I love the Instagram. That's my favorite one, but the Facebook is where I'll have a lot of official stuff too. So those are my handles and identifiers in that arena.
I want to take the moment to thank you so much for this. I just like every single time we talk, I just fall a little bit more in love with you. So we can probably end this conversation before I propose at the end of the symposium.
Well, I'm always here for a good creative matrimony. So, anytime, any day. I fall in love too easily.
And you too. Okay, cool. Well, we should end this before I propose on StreamYard.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Jason, for the time and the space and the moment to speak with you. I appreciate it. And to all of those who are listening today, just know that this is our world. The theater is the seeing place. And so we have the power to tell theater how we want to be seen.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I'm just going to turn back to the audience who's watching and who will be watching this, and thank you so much. We always want to bring you LGBTQ plus work, but it's from donations that you can bring to us and give to us that we make this all possible. It's for the actors, it's for bringing everything together, it's for making this continue to be a safe place for a family of storytellers for the queer voice. So I just want to thank you, and we will see you soon. Happy brunch, everybody. Bye.